like a spirit guide or an angel to come and direct them wherever they need to go. So it's kind of a variety of different ways. But, again, we started working with a medium to begin to see if that was possible to test her out. She allowed us to test her, and we relied heavily on our clients, especially really young kids. After she did her work and said, okay, spirit's gone, I wanted to see, were the kids reporting anything now? If you have a little 4 or 5-year-old, are they still reporting anything? Is the family reporting anything? Is everything quiet? And so far, Virginia's just done a tremendous job of stopping activity at most places we go to.
Oh, wow. Hey, we need to take like about a 2-minute break. I'm going to put you on hold there, Mark, for 2 minutes, and we'll be back.
All right.
Okay.
You can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
And we're talking about, with Mark, about, ghost hunting, mediums and all that stuff. Are you still here, Mark?
I'm still here.
Yeah, I got another little story to tell you. Back in 1996, my oldest daughter was running around with the wrong crowd of people. And one day she came home and she said, I can't, my boyfriend is beating me. And me and my wife got upset. And, with some of the stuff she told us, I decided I better call the police. And the police arrived at our house, and we actually had a rookie officer standing in our house waiting just in case her boyfriend showed up. And I saw the boyfriend coming through the alley across the street. Now, the other officer was out driving around looking for him. And, the officer said, hey, Gary, just open up the door and, act natural. Cut the story very fast. I opened the door. The officer told him to lay down on the ground. He took off running. Evidently, he had a gun. The officer shot him in the head. And he died right in front of my eyes, right around in our alley next to my house.
Wow.
Now, about 2 days later, I started getting weird dreams. Occasionally, him and my daughter would go to KFC, which was about a block away from our house in Tacoma. And they would bring me back KFC because they knew I loved KFC. And all of a sudden, he, in my dream, and I swear it was not a dream, he came up to me on the side of the bed and he says, Gary, I forgive you. I go, for what? He goes, well, I'm dead. And, and then he disappeared. Well, then that happened a couple more times. Now, he was a tribe member from the Muckleshoot Indian tribe. So I decided, after talking to the liaison from the police department of Tacoma, I called up the tribe. They didn't have a medicine man, but they had a medicine woman. Now, she came out to my house, and she did a cleansing, with whatever stuff they did. But she said that my house, his spirit, was really thick in there. But whatever she did after that, I never, never had him in a dream or thought or hear him or anything again. But I'll tell you, it was really nerve-wracking because, I had a lot of guilt built into me because I'm the one that called the cops. He's the one that got shot. If I wouldn't have called the cops, he probably, wouldn't have got shot, at least on my property.
And that sort of tells me that, looking at it from a spiritual, paranormal perspective, that he actually did cross over into the light, into heaven, the universe, whatever you want to call it. We've had a lot of reports of that after we've done our cleansing of a place. Either a spirit will come back to one of the residents of the home or even to Virginia, our medium, and tell Virginia, listen, like in a case like yours, I forgive a person, or please tell this person that, or thank you for helping me into the light. Quite often they'll thank the family members. And when you find people who are thankful or forgiving, from what I'm told by so many spiritual people and mediums, that once you go into the light, all your earth grievances are sort of washed away. If, you have free will, if you're willing to go into the light and allow that to happen, you sort of get a grander knowledge of, how everything affected everybody in your life. And, earthly things, like physical things, cars and cell phones and stuff don't become important anymore. But there's often this sense of love and forgiveness, and in that particular case, it kind of tells me he transitioned properly.
Yeah, because I tell you, it was one of the more scary things I went through in my life. Because all of a sudden, either wake up or have a dream. If it was a dream, it was so real that
Sure, it's probably startling on your end there, because here's this guy who, just got killed in front of you and used to beat your daughter. You still have your thoughts and feelings towards him. That's the last person you probably want to see in your dream.
Oh, yeah. And, this standing there at the side of the bed talking to me, and I'm going, oh, wow. But, again, it wasn't in a solid form. He was kind of in a transparent form, which I kind of like, ooh, And I don't know if you had those type of reports, too. I mean, it was kind of, he was there. I could see he was there, but he was not a solid mass.
Yeah. We've had a lot of reports of that. Even psychics see spirits in different ways on different days. People who report seeing ghosts quite often report seeing them in a variety of ways. And we often get asked, why is that? Why am I seeing a man in the house, and why am I seeing this black, shadow figure in the house? And it could be very well the very same person. It's just that on that particular day, either the person observing is only able to see it as a dark mass, or a misty figure, or a partial being with maybe no legs, but from torso up, but they're kind of translucent or see-through even. Some days they look like a mist, other days it's a shadow. And, there's probably a variety of reasons. I would guess, you could even count in the Earth's magnetic field, where the moon is, how much moisture is in the air. Is the person in a good mood who's viewing the ghost that particular day? What did he have to eat? And on the other side, how much energy does the ghost have? And is he willingly trying to show himself or not? So there's all these factors that go in, I think, and people view things in different ways. But, to touch on what you said there, too, people do report a lot of deceased friends or family members coming to them in dreams. I've had this personally happen myself, where typically they report it is almost like you're awake and like they were there and it was real. And for the most part, I think almost every psychic medium I've ever worked with has always said that is real. That's one of the ways spirit can come to you, is through dreams. And my best friend was killed when he was about 22 years old in a car crash, and I believe he was coming to me in dreams because they were just so vivid. It was like I was right there with him, and I'd wake up, and most dreams kind of disappear from your memory after a few seconds or minutes or days. Those tend to be more like memories and stick with you a little bit, but sometimes they could be startling, and sometimes they could be reassuring because it depends on the person, and often people think, "Oh boy, I'm getting a warning," when maybe that wasn't the intent behind it, but that's how they're taking it.
Interesting. Okay, well, that kind of gives me more thought of what happened there because, I still kind of dwell on that every so often. I'll, be having a sleep and all of a sudden I remember that, what happened. And I keep asking myself, was that a dream or if he was really there? But I don't know. And I got to ask you a question. Have you guys ever investigated any cemeteries? Because I have had some people on the show that went out with recorders in cemeteries and supposedly came back with recordings of deceased people talking or saying things like, "I want a cigarette," or weird things.
Yeah. We have never investigated any cemeteries just to investigate them. In fact, we've never investigated any cemeteries really, period. Unless it was a factor to a residence we were investigating. Just as an example, one house literally had a cemetery in their front yard and side yard. Within feet of the house. It was an old cemetery. Used to be an old one-room schoolhouse that was converted into a home, but it came with this graveyard surrounding the house. So part of what was happening outside was coming inside, we believe. So we did go into that one, but just to investigate, honestly, we just stick with houses or businesses where people are requesting us to come for help. But same thing kind of goes there in buildings. You could get the recordings, just as easily as at cemeteries, graveyards. You're looking for the reason that the spirit is at either location, basically.
Yeah, I would think the cemetery would be the worst place, to get any recordings. I don't think, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I just was curious about that. I have another case I want to just throw up to you, and then I want to ask you more stuff about what you do. One of my good friends, Liz, she was a paramedic for the county she was in, and then she went to be a detective, a sheriff deputy. Now, she owned some old property in Missouri. One day she was out there with her horses, and she thought it was a kid coming through her property wearing, like a hoodie and cargo pants. And she kept her eyes on him. And then all of a sudden, it was not there anymore. And she went and looked, and there was the ground was wet. There was no footprints, no nothing. Now, the kid would have had, or whoever it was, would have had to turn around and walk back the way they came. Or they would have had a passer. Well, neither one of those happened. But she's also claimed that, and her ex-husband was a police officer also, claimed that her upstairs bedroom door would open and close on its own. The refrigerator will ever so often, open and slam shut. Now, talking to her, I guess, during the Civil War and all that stuff, there was a lot of battles and fighting all over Missouri and all those places. I'm just wondering, because when they got killed, they basically just buried them where they were at. I'm just wondering if that could be what's, happening on her property.
Yeah, it could be. We have, a battlefield fairly close to, just a few hours from my home, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Huge battlefield, and same thing. People died. They were buried right where they were. A few things could be happening in her case. There could have been an actual physical event that happened right there. And You could have what's called a residual haunting,